Behind the Crime Scene with Gina Osborne and Tracy Miller. It's July 15th, 2002. 5-year-old Samantha Runnion is playing with a friend in her front yard in Stanton, California. A man approaches and asks the girls to help find his lost dog. He then grabs Samantha and forces her into his car. A day later, Samantha's lifeless body was spotted by hang gliders in the Cleveland National Forest. She'd been sexually assaulted, strangled, and staged. The sheriff promised the perpetrator on national television, "You can't run, you can't hide, we're going to find you." They did just that.
Welcome to Behind the Crime Scene, where we take you beyond the yellow tape into the lives of first responders, investigators, and prosecutors who work true crime. I'm Gina Osborne, retired FBI Assistant Special Agent in Charge and former Army Counterintelligence Agent.
And I'm Tracy Miller. I've been a prosecutor for over 23 years, and I've completed over 80 jury trials, including those involving sexual assault, domestic violence, and gang cases.
And on today's show, we have Erin Runnion.
And we've gotten such fantastic response and such emotional response from the show with Erin and Dave.
I cannot tell you how many people have reached out to me on Facebook and on LinkedIn, either saying that they had worked the case and how they still remember it and how it still haunts them, or just this great amount of support for Erin and how strong she is.
I've had the same type of response. People that were sheriff's deputies that helped plan the funeral, people that remember what Samantha's casket looked like and how hard it was for them to see it, and people talking about Erin taking such horrible tragedy in her life, something it's even hard for us to talk about, and turning it into triumph to help others with her Joyful Child Foundation.
So let's go behind the crime scene with Erin Runnion.
Erin, Dave talked about your impact statement and how profound it was. What was going through your mind when you gave that?
Oh, it took 3 years to get to the point of the victim impact statement. And I knew by then that it had been advocates over many years who had fought for the rights of victims and their families to have that moment in court. So I really thought about it. And I can't tell you how many times I woke up in the night and would write down what I wanted to say to him. And not just to him, but also to all of the people who worked on that case and in that courtroom. And so, it's almost an out-of-body experience. It's just, you just had to use that moment to tell the court that she was real. Again, this was a real child that he took. And I think that on some level, for somebody to hurt another human, especially a little child, they have to distort that truth in their head somehow. And so I really wanted him to hear what I was saying. And he made this move where he turned his shoulder when I actually addressed him. And it just gutted me. I think the whole tone of the rest of what I had to say changed dramatically because I think I said, "Don't turn away from me."
Wow.
But
it sounded like it was so powerful. It was just a powerful moment for you to be able to say what you needed to say.
And it felt like a weight that I didn't even realize had been there for the last 3 years was suddenly lifted. When we went out, I remember walking out with Dave Brent to the press that was outside, and it just felt like such a victory, even though nothing could bring Samantha back. I really believed that, we would change the world, that she was going to be a catalyst to stop these crimes against children. I remember crying out, how many children is it going to take before we do better?
What does it feel like 18 years later to know that Dave Brent still carries your victim impact statement with him?
That is incredible. That really, I think part of the reason I could be so strong in there was because of him and because of the lead investigator, Gary Jones, and the victim advocate. Like, the team, they were so wonderful. Every day before the trial, they would tell me what was going to happen, who was going to be testifying, what the subject matter might be, so that I could prepare myself. It made it so that I could make it through that time. And I didn't realize until I was directly impacted by such violence how much you all see in the work that you do, that just the ugliest aspects of humanity on a daily basis. And it really did inspire me and to be brave, to do everything that I could to ensure justice, and also to represent Samantha in that process. I really did think she was going to be an attorney. I had dreams of her on the Supreme Court.
She had the characteristics. So many people say to us, how does Erin do it? How does she go on? What would your answer be to them?
I truly believe that the best way that we can honor the ones that we have lost is to live our best life, to understand that the love that we feel is their life. That is, they literally become part of yourselves. And as long as you are giving their love that life, then honor it. It's worth doing your best to enjoy and appreciate the opportunity that this life continues to give you. I know that for a long time, I didn't want to get out of bed. It was so hard to let myself feel joy again. That was what she inspired in me. So how could I not figure out how I was going to keep that light in the world?
So there is so much going on with so many lives being lost, it seems, these days, with the pandemic and the civil unrest and all of the things that are going on in this world right now. For all of those parents who have lost their children, what advice do you give to them?
Wow. Well, it is focusing on the love. It is focusing on the purpose of who they were, that you can still honor the purpose of that life, and finding a meaningful way that makes sense to you, that brings them into your day and into your future in a way that is not about looking at the past, but bringing their light into the present day is, I think, the best way that we can honor them. And, I have to say that, well, I will always be incredibly grateful for all of the love and support and the incredible compassion and diligence of the law enforcement officers who I met and those who I didn't. I mean, thousands were impacted. And I have to acknowledge that at the same time, this period in history made me realize that my experience and my outcomes would have been really different if Samantha and I had been Black. That is a truth that I just resisted, and because it disgusts me, but it's why we have come to this place in society. That truth, we all agree that it doesn't matter what color a child's skin is or a grieving family. It is a horrible thing to lose a child to a sudden and violent death. And yet, if we're honest with ourselves, we also know that the outpouring of support throughout this country would not have been the same. That truth is really what underscores and necessitates the Black Lives Matter movement. How many lives is it going to take? I cried that. The truth is that we shouldn't have to say it, but Black lives matter. And I think most people realize that this issue goes deep. And although law enforcement is in such an incredibly difficult position now, it is by reaching out. It is by having these conversations and acknowledging the discomfort that we can begin to understand how we can make it better. Because I think most people understand that law enforcement exists to enforce the laws that we, the people, either vote for or passively allow. It is up to all of us, therefore, to continue to uphold the Constitution and really fight for our great nation, where we have the right and the responsibility to continue our pursuit for liberty and justice for all. That is our duty. Samantha is the reason that I have a voice, and Samantha she deserved all the love that she got. Every child deserves that love.
So you said that you wanted to be an advocate when you were young and naive and just had Samantha, and you certainly turned out to be one. Tell us about the Joyful Child Foundation.
Well, thank you. I started the Joyful Child Foundation because I wanted to honor not just how Samantha died, but also who she was. I wanted people to realize that they could feel that same compassion and that same determination for justice for her, and turn it to all of the children that we could still protect, that we could be braver advocates for our own children in our communities. And so our goal has always been to educate and empower the adults in communities to be better advocates and support networks for children, and particularly those at risk in the highest risk. And ultimately, we came around to creating our own programs for children to teach them what they can do to get away from somebody if somebody is trying to hurt them or if somebody's making them uncomfortable. So Be Brave, Be Safe lessons. We're launching online for the first time publicly next month. We're very excited. And we're doing it actually in conjunction with a Celebration of Life event for Samantha on July 25th, because she would be 24 years old this year.
That's amazing. Tell us more about this Be Brave program. I mean, how is that going to help children? It's an online program. Can you describe a little bit more about what the kids will learn and the adults will learn?
Yes. So on July 1st, I'm actually doing a parent presentation. So that's our adult presentation. And when I first started this work, I did not understand how children are the number one victims of violent crime across the spectrum of violent crime. They are the most vulnerable people in our country, and yet they have no idea of these crimes. And so creating a program where we could empower children to really say when somebody makes them uncomfortable or when they're afraid, and to give parents an understanding of what that looks like and how to respond effectively, because that's where prevention happens. You all know what happened to my daughter is on the most extreme end of the spectrum of crimes against children. The vast majority of these crimes are perpetrated by somebody the family knows and trusts. And that's where, as adults, we have such an opportunity to better protect the children in our communities and in our families, because we are the gatekeepers. It is our responsibility to protect them, and I know that we all want to. So giving them tools to better recognize predatory behavior, to, of course, understand the risks of abduction and steps to counteract that. But also, in the aftermath of Samantha's abduction, people were keeping their children indoors. You didn't see kids outside in Orange County for months. And I remember thinking, it shouldn't be the children who are in prison. This is not okay. Children should be able to safely play outside. And so we originally organized neighborhood watch, but for children. It was called Samantha's Pride, like a lion's pride. And they would watch the children. They take turns making sure that somebody was out there paying attention and watching children playing outside. But over time, what people really wanted was they wanted to be able to teach their children how to be safe without scaring the heck out of them. And that's what led to us developing. In 2013, we launched our Be Brave, Be Safe lessons. It's a full elementary curriculum. We have over 350 teachers who have been trained on delivering safety education as part of the life skills and PE program. So in the PE program, the students actually learn about what they can do physically and verbally to keep themselves safe. So yelling loudly, defensive stances, stun and run techniques, so that they have an opportunity to get away if somebody grabs them or tries to pick them up.
So if I'm a parent that wants to learn more about how to protect my child, what's the best way to do that?
Well, you can go to thejoyfulchild.org and you can sign up for our lessons. I strongly encourage you to check out the adult education introduction, the Brave Parent presentation on July 1st at 6 p.m. The Spanish version will be on July 2nd. And you can register those on our events page at thejoyfulchild.org. And you can also register your children for we have 2 different Be Brave, Be Safe sessions going on the week of July 20th to the 24th in honor of Samantha. And we have elementary in the morning and our teen program in the afternoon. And we will take them through really what it means to be brave, to be safe, and to understand that no one has the right to hurt them, and it's never, ever their fault if someone tries.
That's great advice. And tell us about the celebration of life.
Well, you know, this has been such a difficult time. We're transitioning in every possible way. So the Celebration of Life is a virtual event, and we are going to have a virtual run walk that people can participate in and send in they can post their participation. And we have a Protect Joy art contest for children. So children have, it officially launches on June 28th, but some folks are already submitting their contest entries, and it's children's art of any kind. So videos of children dancing, singing, performing, but also posters and art. The winners of that will be featured in a live show during the Celebration of Life on July 25th, and also in our social media. So we're going to be highlighting all of our brave students and their efforts to protect joy throughout the summer. That whole special evening is going to culminate in a guitar concert with classical guitarist Eric Henderson. He's going to do a live stream concert and that'll be how we end the evening.
Yeah, what a wonderful event. Gosh.
Right. And Samantha used to play guitar, so that's fun.
She did?
Yeah.
If someone wanted to give to the Joyful Child Foundation, how do they do that?
Oh, thank you. They can go to thejoyfulchild.org, and there is a donate button, and there is no contribution that is too small. We appreciate all of it because we have been working so hard to get all of our programs online during this time, and we were headed in this direction before COVID, but we really wanted to be able to serve families during this summer, because when we're all technically safer at home, it is really difficult for the little ones. So we wanted to give them something meaningful that they can do while they're at home this summer.
You know, you said that what happened to Samantha was on the extreme end of the spectrum, and so extreme, and something that is so difficult to even imagine. Someone that's angry or trying to overcome something right now, what advice do you have to not let the anger take over?
Oh, it's easy to get stuck in the anger. Unfortunately, and I can tell you, like during the trial, I would wake up with my fists clenched and my teeth I would hurt myself in my sleep with the anger. All it ultimately does is erodes your heart. It destroys your life, not the person that you're angry with. I think the only thing to counter the anger is to think about the love, to reprogram the thinking so that when you start to feel that anger, you counter it with an image of the one that you love and something that gives you a memory, an actual experience memory of the joy that they brought you, because that's your goal. That's who you want to honor. Anger honors the perpetrator. Love honors the person.
Erin, you thought that Samantha was going to change the world, and I can guarantee you that she has. And that's through you and the work that you are doing with the Joyful Child Foundation, because you're keeping kids safe and preventing this from happening to other children and other families. So she has had an impact on me. I know she's had an impact on Tracy. We've been contacted by other people who either worked the case or was in Orange County during that time, and she truly impacted us all. And we still think about her, which is why we wanted to do this show. Thank you very much for being here with us today.
Oh, thank you.
Gina, the thing that I admire the most about her is she doesn't have any bitterness or anger when she's talking about her daughter.
She is such, I mean, we talked about what an inspiration that she is, but when we talk about and we see chaos and conflict going on in the world, and there's someone like Erin Runnion, whose daughter was taken from her in such a way that would just level anybody. And yet
It would.
she was able to get up every day, put her clothes on, and live her life. Now she's 20 years into this and she's helping others, and she's been helping others ever since this has happened. I mean, it just really shows us how we can't let the chaos of this pandemic and civil unrest and all the other things that are going on in the world right now. And we have to find gratitude in our life. And we can't let anything stand in our way from becoming unstoppable, like Erin Runnion.
Or joyful. Then she said that love is what helped her through. And I thought that was such an interesting perspective, because the love of her daughter, even after she was gone, is what gave her the courage as her mother to keep fighting for her, and the courage to go in that courtroom and make that victim impact statement, and the courage to sit there with the defendant every day in the courtroom. And it was love that gave her strength, and the love of everybody in law enforcement and the DA's office that helped her. And that's such a great message for now, today.
She can really shine light and shine hope and give hope to people who have lost their loved ones during this crazy unrest that we've had.
She inspires us to celebrate life.
Yes.
And we haven't had a lot of celebrating during the pandemic, and to remind us to be joyful and find gratitude. So I think that's something that I will take away from this. I'll also take away that I'm giving to the Joyful Child Foundation.
Yes, and please go to thejoyfulchild.org. Take a look at what it is. They've got free programs. They've got a lot of good information there. And like Erin said, you can push the donate button anytime you'd like, because they haven't been able to go out and do their typical fundraising. So anything we can do to help them continue to do what they do.
And subscribe to our podcast. See you next time on Behind the Crime Scene.
Behind the Crime Scene with Gina Osborne and Tracy Miller is produced and edited by Lisa Osborne. Theme music is Insomnia by retired IRS Special Agent Clarissa Balmaceda. Find us on social media through BehindTheCrimeScene.com. And don't miss an episode. Subscribe to Behind the Crime Scene with Gina Osborne and Tracy Miller wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Lisa Osborne.